Hi, I'm Amelia.
And I'm Mark.
And today we're going to be covering the basics of airgun maintenance and how you can better look after your guns in order to ensure their longevity.
We've got one of our favourite air rifles here, a Viararc HW100, but no matter what air rifle you've got, the principles really of looking after an air rifle are pretty much the same. We've got a few products out on the table here which you might find handy to use. Generally the maxim is that air rifles don't need a huge amount of cleaning, but they do take some care. We'll start off just by looking at cleaning the rifle down after you've used it. It's probably the most important part really. So if you're out shooting, particularly if you've been out shooting in the rain, or if the weather's very humid, and also our hands get quite hot and can transfer rust onto a gun. So best just to clean down. We have just a soft cloth. We use the Napier one here. And we can just wipe down the barrel and all the metal parts there. Make sure it's nice and dry before we put it away. It's also a good idea to store your air rifle with a sachet of the Napier VP90. Now what the VP90 oil does is that will disperse humidity out of an area about 1 cubic metre.
They are supposed to last an entire year. So it's a worthwhile investment. It's under £10 for a sachet and it would last you an entire year.
So very important safety obviously with an air rifle, and it's important to keep it away from the arms and the eyes of an under 18-year-old in particular. So it needs to be stored securely and safely somewhere in the house really, rather than a garage or outbuilding. You want somewhere to be dry, to be warm and to be secure. Then when you store the air rifle away, very often an air rifle cover is the place to store it. So we sell a variety of covers here, all shapes and sizes from
and widths.
And widths, yeah, because a lot of air rifles these days come with night vision or quite large scopes. Bullpup covers are popular, as well as carbines and standard length rifles. So you can get yourself a decent quality cover. You can always pop a VP90 sachet into the cover or into a gun cabinet if you have one. So that's a good way of storing the gun. So make sure it's nice and dry when you put it away.
Certainly, and I like to keep a cloth inside my hard case with my rifle, just as a reminder to myself to actually wipe it down before it goes away.
What's in the way of oils should we be putting on the gun for driving care, Amelia?
Well, we'll start with just the external parts of the rifle. Something like the Napier Power Airgun oil. Just a very light coating of that. I like to put it directly onto the cloth so that it's not too dense, and then just give that a little wipe over. We picked a wooden stock rifle here as well because I wanted to touch on maintenance of the stock and the wood itself. With the stock, some people, particularly ex-military, are very keen on taking everything apart, cleaning it very thoroughly, cleaning it very regularly. Most times people are going to be concentrating on the externals of the stock, Very rarely, and I would say only if you've particularly got the rifle very dirty, or there's any grit or anything's gotten inside the rifle, would you need to particularly take the stock completely off and treat the entire thing. If you're looking just to keep the outside in good condition, we have quite a few options. So when it comes to walnut stocks, they tend to be a little bit more maintenance, particularly in the longer term. You might want to use some different oils suitable for wood, linseed oils, or for example, ones that are manufactured by Birchwood Casey. They do a very nice walnut stain. With beech, typically they tend to have an already sealed finish. They're not quite as thirsty of a wood. So for something like a beech, and this applies to walnut or any material of wood really, something like the Napier Stock Shield would be a very good choice. If I open it up, you can see it's got a sponge applicator already on it. And what this does is purely just enhance the grain, protect from the rain. It's not gonna stain it at all. You don't need to remove anything or remove any layers before you put this on, but it's gonna keep your stock in good condition and nice and watertight, which is the main thing.
How about the metal parts?
Well, in terms of aesthetics, if you do need to do anything to metalwork, Birchwood Casey tends to be number one. They do a lot of bluing solutions, blue and rust remover, but that's a little bit more technical than we'll cover today. Really, we're going to be looking at the metal moving parts. So bits like the side lever, in pistols as well, whenever you have metal on metal, we would suggest going for a gun lubricant, such as the Bisley one that we have here.
And then the LT2 grease, which is quite a dark grease here. What would be the purpose of that?
Again, it's good for metal on metal moving components. Anything where there's any sliding or potential for anything to get a little bit jammed or caught up. So slightly different from metal on metal applications. If you have rubber or plastic against metal, that's when we would suggest using a silicone-based liquid or grease. So a good example of this is if you have a CO₂ pistol, to keep the O-rings in good condition, we would suggest every third CO₂ capsule or so, just put a little drop of silicone oil onto the tip of the capsule and then pop that into your pistol or rifle. That will just keep everything in good condition.
How about if you've finished shooting your CO₂ pistol but you haven't used all the capsule up and you've got half a capsule left, is it okay to leave the capsule in the pistol?
Fantastic point, Mark. No, we always suggest for long-term storage, take the CO₂ capsule out. Chances are if you leave it for long enough anyway, the CO₂ is going to start to leak. And also it can really damage your seals. So it's best practice to take it out every time you're going to be leaving it. And then how about with PCPs? So what kind of pressure should we be storing these long-term at?
Well, the manufacturers recommend that you always leave some in there, but not completely filled up. So possibly around 100, 130 bar, something like that. It's not quite as critical as CO₂ pistols leaving a capsule in there.
Some manufacturers have even said sort of 50 or 60 bar if you're going to be storing your PCP for a really long time. So always best to check the manual. And again, take it with a little pinch of salt. Of all the PCP owners that I know, how many of them actually bleed out their rifle before putting it away for a month or two probably isn't the majority. Right, well, that leaves us on to barrel cleaning.
A little bit of residue can build up with prolonged use of pellets. In fact, all pellets do leave a little lead residue in the barrel. And I think the most important point really is to use good quality air rifle pellets. We've got a pretty good selection of pellets here. RWS, JSB, H&N, they're probably the three biggest brands.
And when it comes to how often you should be cleaning your barrel, again, it's a very divided school of thought. There's some people that will say after every 500 pellets, so after every tin, give your barrel a little clean out. I certainly have shot a lot more than a tin of pellets since I last cleaned out my barrel. And I know plenty of people that have gone decades without cleaning out their barrels. So when do you? It's a very good question. For some, and kind of where we would normally stand on the situation, is you probably don't need to unless you're noticing a drop in accuracy or a drop in performance. At that point, it might be because your barrel needs a bit of a clean. So methods of cleaning your barrel, if you decide it does need a bit of a clear out. The easiest way, as Mark previously mentioned, is the VFG felt pellets. Tips for using these is always take your moderator off, because otherwise what you might find is that the felt kind of explodes and leaves a residue in your moderator. So always take the moderator off before putting one of those through your rifle. It's easier if you have a rifle such as a day state or something that comes with a single loader tray. If you don't, and you only have multi-shot magazines available, we would suggest loading it directly into the breech if possible. Some people also like to put a little bit of oil, such as the Power Airgun oil, onto the felt pellets before they shoot them through, just so that the barrel has a little bit of a coating with that oil whilst the felt pellet goes through. I would always say you're best off leaving as little oil residue in the barrel as possible once you're finished cleaning. So if you do decide to do that, I would suggest finishing it off with 1 or 2 dry felt pellets, just so that any residue has left the barrel before you start putting pellets down it again. Another method is the air rifle cleaning kits that come with rods. This one here by Bisley is compatible with both 177 and 22. It comes with the different heads which you can attach to the rod. Some slightly more abrasive, metal finished or brass finished ones. And then you also have the softer wool mops as well. Also handy if you do have any pellets stuck in your barrel. If it's more than 1 or 2 pellets, you're best off probably taking it to your local gun shop rather than attempting yourself, because the last thing you want to do is damage the internals of your barrel. And lastly, the Napier pull-through kit has always been a very popular choice. I know there's a lot of videos already on how to use the pull-through kits, but there's a good reason behind it. They're very user-friendly. It's also a good idea, or the reason why you shouldn't leave too much oil left behind in your barrel is because something can happen called dieseling. So it often happens with new rifles. Some manufacturers are slightly more generous in how much residue or grease and oils are left in the barrel and on the rifle than others.
Yeah, particularly some of the Turkish manufactured spring air rifles we have noticed do come with a certain amount of dieseling, usually about 50 to 60 shots, something like that, to really clear the oil out of the barrels and for the process to finish.
And on the topic of dieseling, when it comes to PCPs as well, that's why it's important to stick with silicone-based substances around the pneumatics of the rifle. You want to be avoiding using any mineral-based oils around the pneumatics because, again, dieseling can occur and it can damage your rifle. It can be a little bit of an overwhelming topic, exactly what to put and where. So if you do have any questions or queries about how best to look after your rifle or pistol, you're always welcome to get in contact with us and ask which ones you need.
Thanks for watching our video on air rifle maintenance, and see you next time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And if there are any other video ideas you want us to cover in the future, let us know by dropping us a comment below.